Kicking off our Great Music Story series for 2016, this is a band widely tipped to have a big year ahead. This is the 13 Stars. Okay, for this week's Great Music Stories series, we are featuring an exciting new band. Recently released an album, The White Raven, and a hit that we have playlisted, Tired of Waiting. We billed it as one of the best rock singles of the year. And this next hour, we're going to be hearing the story of the amazing band, 13 Stars. I'm joined online now, delighted to be joined online by Hoss Thompson from the band. Hoss, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
So, let's go straight in. Tired of Waiting. We've given it a big billing. We've called it one of the best rock songs of the year. Let's start with that. It's got a very catchy and arresting thing within 3 minutes, hasn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's a catchy song, I think. I mean, Jackson, my other guitarist, knew that better than I did, because when I wrote it, I wasn't 100% on it, but he said, no, that's great, we're keeping that. So, there you go.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Doing a radio-friendly single isn't always, your favourite song on the album, but they do sometimes just happen, don't they? It feels like that song just happened, and you put it down, and it's very fresh.
Yeah, well, I mean, our whole approach, I like to think, is fairly organic. The songs kind of take on a life of themselves after a little while,
let's move on. Let's broaden it out. You've got a fab new album out, The White Raven, a rich sound, some cracking songs, starts brilliantly with Beautifully Numb. Tell us a little bit about how that album came together, because I think it's your first album on the Off Your Rocker label.
It is, yeah. I mean, we'd had the songs and we were road testing the songs for a little while, and we recorded it in February with Matt Ellis at Axis Studios in Doncaster. And Matt did an absolutely sensational job on it. I mean, he really did, you know. I mean, we already knew that, you know, the songs were popular with crowds, you know, the crowd seemed to like them. Because there's nothing worse than buying an album and, you know, there's 3 songs on it that you like. and the rest of it's just filler, you know what I mean? So we're not that kind of band, you know, we want to put out... I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting every single song to appeal to every single person in the world, but already people are coming back saying, oh, I love this one or I love that one. And I think, you know, different songs can hit different people in different ways, you know? Always a lady, no matter how big it, now we know we're together home. Oh, to be so alone. She lived among me with a fistful of money, searching for the promises new. That was Beautifully Numb, the opening track off the new 13 Stars album, The White Raven. 13 Stars have shared the stage with many great rock bands such as Vintage Trouble, John Waite, Magnum, The Choir Boys. In November, they opened the main stage at the Hard Rock Hell Festival, and they are set to join an incredible array of bands for the HRH Road Trip Festival in Ibiza this coming May. But a big moment for the band had a hint of rock world X Factor to it, where the band was entered into the Highway to Hell competition. I asked Hoss about the story behind this landmark moment for the band and their story. Then we were really seeing what was going to happen, and of course, lo and behold, we were entered into the Highway to Hell competition, and didn't really think we had a chance, to be honest. So we went to Sheffield and we played, and we thought we knew who we would have picked to win, and it wasn't us. Then they called our name out, and then they called the band that we thought would have won it after us, so it was joint winners. Which was, it was great, you know. Hoss, let's rewind a little bit back to the beginning, because this next hour is a great opportunity for our listeners who haven't got the album or maybe not familiar with the band to really get a feel for what you're about. Tell us, let's start with the beginning. Tell us a little bit about how the band in its current form came together. And I think you started off with a few sort of self-financed albums. Tell us about the early days. Originally, it started out with me writing and recording in my dining room, actually. Nothing wrong with that? No, a bit of a Tubular Bells thing going on, a bit of Mike Oldfield. And then I wanted to gig the songs because I thought they were strong enough, and I thought, people might like them. So I put together a lineup, and that sort of fizzled out on a Tuesday night. Yeah. And we had a gig on the Saturday. So I put together the current lineup, I think, on the Wednesday night, and we rehearsed the Wednesday, the Thursday, the Friday, and then we played the gig on the Saturday, and we've been together ever since. We did, a couple of self-financed albums. We actually won some of the recording time on some of those self-financed albums in a global Battle of the Bands competition in Newcastle, I think.
Fantastic.
But we got Raz. Well, we were spotting Knockout Kane in Workington, and Raz White is of course Knockout Kane's manager. Yeah. And we wondered if he would be interested in working with us, and thankfully he was, and things have gone on from there.
You've done this too many times before, and no doubt, if I let you, you do it some more. So now go, yeah, walk out that open door. So now go, I just can't take it anymore. You already know why his eyes still burns like fire, riddle me so. Oh, my darling, you already know. So time has come, yeah, for us to say goodbye, but I won't cry, 'cause I know you'll be back again. Get under my skin, make me feel brand new, just like you have, and you always will do. You already know why his eyes still burn like fire, riddle me so. Oh, my darling Julia, where do you go when nobody knows? Where do you stay? Always on your way.
Listening to your new album, I can definitely feel a few hints of Queen on Tired of Waiting, and a bit of Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, Free, quite a lot of things. Who would you say, in terms of getting your sound together, maybe were your big creative influences?
Personally, I love early Queen.
Yeah.
Right, so 1973 is it they got together?
Sort of
74 was the first album.
Sort of Live at the Rainbow type thing.
Yeah, oh no, sorry, 72. Yeah, so Queen through to up until just after the Jazz album, where I thought they went from being a great rock band to being a great pop band.
Yeah.
I think they're untouchable on those albums, absolutely untouchable.
Slither on down to the edge of town, where all the
obviously I love Led Zeppelin. I don't really think you can trust somebody who doesn't love Led Zeppelin, to be honest. 3, Paul Kossoff is my favourite guitarist ever in the world, bar none. But then even some more esoteric stuff like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and Stephen Stills' Manassas. But all of that kind of good rock and roll stuff. The Rolling Stones, Humble Pie. I love Humble Pie. Love Stevie Marriott. All those kind of great bands and albums. And they weren't afraid to be diverse, and that was the key thing for us, A lot of those, like, later Beatles albums as well, and the Rolling Stones albums, a lot of them are quite diverse in the songwriting. And I felt that in some ways, that level of diversity was in some ways missing in what I was hearing musically. And I thought, well, let's go for it.
It's funny you say that, because you listen to, like, say, an early Queen album. I mean, a lot of people's favourite is something that's like Sheer Heart Attack. And,
that's my favourite. Yeah,
and every song's completely different. It's got everything in it. So is that a sense you want to, as you develop, you want to bring into your albums, is to give variety to the listener? Yeah,
I mean, I think, you've got to... I think that an album should be a journey, really. And I think that if you can bring a level of diversity and eclecticism into an album and into a live show, then that can't help but be more interesting to an audience. Because if all you're doing is chugging away over the same 4 chords for an hour, it gets really tedious really quickly.
Does that play out also into your shows? Because I know some of these sort of bands you've mentioned, like Led Zeppelin, Queen particularly, when they do their live performance, it kind of goes through stages of big opening, bring it down a bit, big finish at the end. Do you kind of take that influence into your live sets, that you try and take the audience on a bit of an experience?
Absolutely. Throughout the coming musical developments, although I think the album is, The White Raven is pretty diverse. It is an out-and-out rocker, really. Yeah. And I think, some more light might come into the sound, just to give that balance,
Yeah, I get you.
I think, but I mean, don't get me wrong, I think there's a great level of diversity on that album anyway. So you've got your funky numbers, you've got your bluesy numbers, you've got your hard rockers, and I just think, chucking a little bit of acoustic in there, and you're pretty much covering all the bases, aren't you?
And you got Rockabye Baby at the end. I mean, that feels like a bit of a Queen touch in terms of adding something a bit different at the end.
Absolutely. Well, I love them. What can I tell you?
Okay.
Now move on.
Let's move on. In terms of your live performances, I mean, you've shared the stage with some pretty impressive company, bands like UFO, John Waite, Magnum, of course, the Choir Boys, Faster Pussycat. How important is it when you're going on the road to make sure, in terms of the billing, it kind of fits?
That's a really good question. Nobody's ever asked me that before. Yeah. I mean, I think obviously you have to tailor your set to match the headliner to a certain extent. So, you know, like with the Fish gigs, they were acoustic gigs. So obviously you have to tailor your set to an acoustic sort of carapace, if you like. Yeah. But I think, you know, people generally want a support band to be their own band. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously they're there to see the headliners. Yeah. You know, nobody's fooling themselves into thinking they're there to see the support. But, you know, at the same time, if they can walk away thinking that support was something different and quite interesting, then, you know, that's a good way to take the message to the masses, if you like.
Well, look, we talked about studios, we talked about live. You're obviously a band who have got a good following, and obviously the next year or two you're going to push that even further. For you as a rock band, which is for you more important in terms of, you know, building up that following? Is it the quality of the studio output, or is it extensive touring, or is it, dare I say, a mix of the two?
Well, at the risk of sounding like I'm sitting on the fence, I think it's a mix of the two.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be a mix of the two. I mean, you know, we want to be playing everywhere for everybody, but at the same time, you know, there has to be a consistently high level of studio quality work going on as well. Yeah. And, you know, those two things aren't mutually exclusive. I think live is where you win hearts and minds, and I think studio is where those hearts and minds can find you afterwards. Yeah,
get you. So they've got to fit hand in glove then, really.
Pretty much, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, you know, as it has been for 40 odd years, 50 years nearly, you know.
Okay. Well, let's move on. A little chaffinch or a little bird told me that you're about to shoot a new video for your song "Daddy's Girl" based on Cool Hand Luke, a favourite of the band. Tell us about that. Is that true?
That may or may not be true. Right. We may or may not be shooting that in January, which is going to be pretty cold. Given that, you know, the scene that we like is the car washing scene. Right. So that's going to be a bit brisk. But yeah, we love Cool Hand Luke. I mean, we love Paul Newman. What a guy! Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just it's an iconic movie, and yeah.
I think it's time you pull that silver spoon out your mouth. I think it's time you took a little look around. Your daddy always fixed it before. Ever since the day you were born. Now you ain't going inside. You're your all night. Shut your mouth, my little daddy's girl. What you about to get what you deserve. You sit around sucking on your thumb under a rock and hiding from a midday sun. You were told that you were a princess, but you're an asshole nonetheless. I think it's time that you see yours ain't no way to be. Shut your mouth, my little daddy's girl. What you about to get what you deserve. You're screaming, 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 scream till you're sick. Hold your breath till you turn blue. That's your new trick. You're such a bitch that you'd kick your dog just to piss off the flies. If I was your daddy, I'd kick you out, leave you out all night. Shut your mouth, my little daddy's girl. What you about to get what you deserve. Shut your mouth, my little daddy's girl. What you about to get what you deserve. Oh, you get what you deserve.
So that's going to be exciting. So that is the next single then, I guess.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good. Okay, 2016, big year ahead. terms of touring, in terms of festivals, recording, anything you can map out for listeners, for fans, on what your sort of top-line ambitions are for next year and where they might be able to see you?
Well, we're playing Rockmantic Festival in Carlisle over the Valentine's weekend.
Right.
We're playing a show with the Choir Boys up in Glasgow in March.
Okay.
That's a Hard Rock Hell AOR tour road trip. And then we're doing the Hard Rock Hell Ibiza road trip in May. And then hopefully we're going to get to the States over the summer. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention any festivals or anything.
Okay,
but,
okay. But I have to say, listening to your album, it sounds like a great sort of part of the British rock tradition, but it also feels like an album that could easily fly in the US as well.
Well, we love America, not necessarily too keen on some of the politics, but, the can-do attitude that Americans seem to have is a wonderful thing. And a lot of our, heroes, musical heroes, are from America. So I think it's the dream of all British bands, isn't it, to go and play America,
Go and break the States.
Oh, well, try to anyway.
Or just have fun trying. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I'm putting my life on hold. Find out what you're all about. But you always leave me cold. Yeah, you always leave me in doubt. Well, maybe I got bad luck. Maybe I'm not good enough. After all these years of chasing this feeling.
moving on. One thing I've spoken to a few bands about the thing about mobile phones in concerts. This has come up quite a few times about the fact, you put on a show. The idea is to go and enjoy the moment, and you come on stage and you're being radiated by 500 iPhones filming you. Is your view on that it's getting the experience, or is it just something you just think is a sign of the times?
Well, I think, to go philosophical on it, I think that you'd be foolish not to expect people to enjoy things in their own way.
Yeah.
So, if someone's own way of enjoying it is to film it so that they can relive it at a later date, then
good for them. That's
up to them, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, as long as it's not bothering anybody else around them, then I think go for it.
Well, I have to say you're much more philosophical about it. Some bands absolutely hate it, but there we go. Right, moving on. Silly question. We ask this to all our guests on the Music Stories series. Hoss, if you were to get whisked away and to a desert island, poor thing, and could take one of your tracks on your mobile device, assuming, of course, you have a charging point on the desert island, which one of your songs to date would you pick and why?
Oh.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that really is. I think I would take Right for Wrong.
Okay.
Because it's a really... I had a lot of fun writing it, yeah. And it's a nice narrative-driven song, yeah. Which I think, is always a good basis for a song, really.
Okay.
Or, I could take Tired of Waiting, which is excellent. Yeah. Or I could take any of the singles.
or just take the album. Just cheat and take the album.
A good woman should. I try my best
And one further question to that. If you could take any album, and you're even allowed to take vinyl, because we're presuming a record player will be on the desert island. You might say Sheer Heart Attack. I'm thinking that might be coming. But if you could take any album as your desert island album, which one would you take?
Ooh, that's a very tricky one. I think for the level of different moods that would be involved in it, I think I would have to take Stephen Still's Manassas.
Very good choice. Look, Hoss, we're going to have to leave it there. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. It's been really good to hear your story and your ambition. On behalf of everyone from 107 Meridian FM, we'll continue to follow your new singles and your album and wish you every success for a successful 2016.
Well, thank you very much.
Our thanks to Hoss for generously giving his time to speak with us. 13 Stars are set for a huge 2016, both in the UK and also the US, and their debut single, Tired of Waiting, has turned many eyes, with the music doing the talking. The single had an immediate impact with us here at 107 on The Rock Show, and it was playlisted for 2 weeks over the Christmas period. And it's also featured in our Rock Top 10 for 2015. So without question, I think it warrants another spin before we close the hour.
Cupid's bow, yeah, it never slowed, but it never took aim at me. I caught a ricochet, but she won't talk to me. So now I'm here on my own.
That was Tired of Waiting, and Daddy's Girl looks set to be the next single. If you'd like to discover more about the 13 Stars, do check out their Facebook page. It's called 13 Stars, and here you'll find tour dates, fan chat, and videos. The new album and single is also up on Amazon and iTunes if you want to discover more. And there's more to come from our great music stories in the months ahead in 2016. Already, Massive Wagons, Fire Road and Martin Joseph are all on the way. But up next, on Monday the 18th at 5 till 6, our usual slot, we've a 1 hour special on Irish sensation, the Screaming Eagles. That's all to come though, with the time fast approaching 6 o'clock. National news is next, and we're going to leave you with one more song from the 13 Stars. Thanks for listening, everyone. Do join us again, same time next week.
Down on the bottom, miscalculate. We saw farmers down with the now feelers. Just then a shot rang out. Sawbones dig hit the ground. A banner got chose roll our way. Took us in a town that day. Head sit down. Gonna hang me with the mission bell sounds. Black bag over my eyes. Gonna give me a rope necktie. Long arm, shorts down. God knows that's a dead man's law. Shallow grave, I hear the sound. The hang was first and then the buzzers get some. So in this cell alley, just the bars in Sawbones deep. The flies of heat, the fester in a cloud. From David's gang, guns, gunshot. If I ever get out alive, I'm going back to Texas, gonna take me a ride. They'll only measure my throat, or shutting our dead man's coat. Head sit down. Gonna hang me when the mission bell sounds. Black bag over my eyes. Gonna give me a rope necktie. Long drum, swords down. God knows it's a dead man's law. Shallow grave, I hear the sound. The hang was first and then the buzz gets some. Dawn breaks, the news calls. They lead us out through the courthouse halls. On into the square, where the peasants and the wild dogs did. A mariachi band strung some swan song at a Greenwood sun. You got any last words, son? Take my heart back to Texas, son. Head sit down. Gonna hang me when the mission bell sounds. Black bag over my eyes. Gonna give me a rope necktie. Long drum, swords down. God knows it's a dead man's law. Shallow grave, I hear the sound. The hang was first and then the buzzers get some.